Today I got these yucks about Tate Martell and Austin Kendall, and I'm going to get to them after the bumper.
What do you mean you don't subscribe to my son's YouTube channel?
Mama, no!
Just snap the damn ball, RJ.
What's up, kid folk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. Consider it in the like and subscribe button because I upload a video every single day. It's always OU related, college football related, sports related. We have a good time. And as some of you have noticed, I have started, 8 months ago, started really trying to focus on college football with a heavy dose of OU. It's my squad. It's the team that I cover. It's the team that I am the most interested in. And yeah, that's I want to say 85% of the people that listen to this channel. But I want to cover college football because I love college football. I love the sport. And I think that being a good fan of your team is also being a good fan of the sport. So I pay attention to things like Sam Howell being named the starting quarterback at North Carolina. I pay attention to things like Sam Hartman and what's going on at Wake Forest and or what's going on at Arizona State with Jaden Daniels and Justin Fields being named the starter. And I heavily watch the rankings like everybody else. But two stories in particular just have me smiling because we are in what folks in the business call a target-rich environment when it comes to stories. Because sometimes during offseason, you're going, man, what am I going to write about? What am I going to talk about today? Because this is dull. And now August through about February, give or take, but definitely August through December, yeah, just going to be batting away stories. Or if you're me, you probably got something to say about most of them. And there's two stories in particular that I think are interesting because they relate to the transfer market and transfer quarterbacks and the NCAA transfer portal. So you'll know that Tate Martell lost the job to Jared Williams, which is a very popular upload on this channel. Didn't know so many of y'all cared or so many of y'all wanted to see Tate Martell flounder or Jared Williams succeed. Maybe it's like that, but I'm going to go with the five-star quarterback out of Bishop Gorman who ended up at Ohio State, who's told everybody nobody's going to beat me out of the job, who then transferred away as soon as Justin Fields came to Ohio State to Miami and was expected to be named the starting quarterback at Miami. So how this worked was Jalen Hurts transferred from Alabama to Oklahoma and was named the week 1 starter at Oklahoma. Ohio State got Justin Fields, and that was transferred from Georgia to Ohio State, and he was named the week 1 starter. Tate Martell is scout team wide receiver. You hate to see it, but it's also kind of funny. And it's funnier because he acted like a child about it. And he has been a harpoon. Like, people have been harpooning him. It's been a whale. That's what it is. You throw a harpoon at a whale. Been harpooning him on the Twitters, on the social medias. I'm having a good time with it because, yeah, sometimes you do have to work at it. Sometimes it doesn't work out for you. But I'm looking around and I see so many guys that are going to get an opportunity to play who transferred and sat out or transferred and were deemed immediately eligible. Another guy being Washington's Jacob Eason, who was run out of Georgia. It's just funny, like Josh Jackson out of Maryland. It's just funny because it didn't happen to me. If it happened to me, I'd be pissy and mean about it. I'm sure that Tate Martell is pissy and mean about it. And right now he's just trying to find a way to get onto the field because, yeah, the dude is looking at pulling an Antoine Randall or Terrell Pryor a level below. That's what's funny about this is because he went from being a 5-star quarterback, which means that you are expected to be drafted in the first round of the NFL draft in 3 years. That's what that means. To being a guy who has to move to wide receiver just to get on the field. Now, Taysom Hill had to do that. Saints, Terrell Pryor, Antoine Randall, and keep going with guys that played quarterback in college, that play wide receiver, Julian Edelman in the NFL. You don't necessarily see a Braxton Miller move in college. Now, we'll see how this works because anything can happen with Jaron Williams. He's a redshirt freshman. Nobody's really seen him throw the ball. He's had all of 3 attempts in college. And N'Kosi Perry is still there, and he's probably going to be second up if things don't go well with Jaron Williams. But I kind of want to see Tate Martell at wide receiver because, yeah, that's exactly the kind of dude that should be out there playing some wide receiver. He might think he could throw the ball a little bit. Maybe he can. We'll have to wait and see. But I think it's funny. But it won't be as funny as if Austin Kendall is not named the starting quarterback at West Virginia. Not because Austin Kendall isn't that good, although this would be a glaring indictment that he might not be. This is a guy that I'm very high on, and I think is going to win the job. But last that Neil Brown spoke was like, hey, both of those guys, Trey Lowe and Austin Kendall and Jack Allison, are making mistakes that I don't want to see them make. And I don't know who the guy is. So while this could be really bad for Austin Kendall, who sat behind Baker Mayfield and then Kyler Murray and then was told by Lincoln Riley, hey, I'm taking a look at the kid that went 26-2 at Alabama. I hope there are no hard feelings. That, hey, I want you to come to Morgantown, get an opportunity to play. It's just not a bad look. It's not a good look. It's a bad look for everybody involved, but not as bad as it's probably going to be for his dad. His dad, Brian, spoke at length about the move in January, and he had some feelings, right? Because as soon as he heard that his kid was going to have to compete with Jalen Hurts, I'm sure he blew a gasket. I'm sure Austin Kendall blew a gasket. I'm sure that's the reason why they said, enough, I graduated, I'm getting out of here. Because Riley led everybody to believe that Kendall was neck and neck with Kyler Murray all the way through training camp. And then Kyler Murray passed for 4,000, rushed 4,000, won a Heisman Trophy, went number 1 overall in the draft. And rather than hand the keys to Austin Kendall, he said, I'm going to go get Jalen Hurts. And then Austin Kendall said, I'm going to bounce, and I want to go to West Virginia. And Lincoln Riley said, no, I don't want you transferring in state, and I've had that upload. You go check it. But I come down on let the kid go wherever he wants to go. You're Oklahoma. If you're that worried about him knowing your playbook and telling everybody what you're doing, maybe that's on you. Because you don't have to recruit the kid. You didn't have to sign him, right? He doesn't have to stay. I'm more on the player agency side of this than I am for the $6 million head coach who wants to keep a dude that hadn't played much of anything from playing against him in the same season. Okay, cool. You're seeing that from a competitive standpoint and from a strategic advantage. And I understand that, right? Everybody understands that. Even Brian Kendall, Austin's dad, admitted he understood that. However, you brought in Jalen Hurts knowing that you brought him in because you wanted him to beat Austin Kendall. Otherwise, why'd you bring him in? And then you laid it on thick with saying Austin Kendall has to take a lot away from being neck and neck with the Heisman Trophy winner, except if he wants to go to West Virginia, in which case I'm going to try to block it. Now, he eventually relented, and Kendall is a Mountaineer. But man, the Kendalls have been just dragged last year because his mom went on Twitter to tell everybody my baby's starting when really he was just keeping the seat warm because Kyler Murray got in trouble and had to sit out a series. And then Kyler came in against Baylor, and that was that. It's just the Kendalls have just been catching L's. Austin, his mom, his dad. But let Neil Brown make Trey Lowe or whoever the starting quarterback at West Virginia and it not be Austin Kendall, there will be blood. I'm here for it because I'm here for the yucks. I'm here for the jokes. I would feel bad if it was my kid, but it ain't my kid. I'd feel bad if I was Austin Kendall, just as I'm sure that a lot of people would feel bad for me if for whatever reason this channel imploded. You know, I think some of y'all would miss it. Some of you that know me and others that know Austin Kendall feel like he should be the guy already. You see where I'm coming? It just depends on your degree of separation from the story. Because, I mean, even on the Twitters, you got Riley Martell that is getting all kinds of pissy and mean because people are dragging her brother through the mud. I understand it. I also don't think that the public is the place to wage that war. It's a place to look bad. So if you're going to tell people you're frustrated, do it in the Paul George way. Go to management, tell them, hey, I don't feel excited about this. I feel like I'm disengaged. I feel like I'm not being considered. I feel like I'm taken for granted. But you don't air your dirty laundry in public. It's uncouth, and it usually comes back to bite you because people will use anything they can against you. Just like you transferring to West Virginia or you transferring to Miami with the complaint that you didn't want competition. When that might not actually be the full story. Might be more to it. But also, it's about what you put out there and what you don't. And now we're here basically 5 days away from college football. It's a lot of fun. All right, that's it for me. Doses.